And we are live.
Again.
I've got the Flock Safety here team with me, and I'm excited to have our first round table. Woohoo!
At a square table.
Yes. Rectangle table. So I'm not going to turn it over to my co-host here, Roy Dockery. So Roy, you're going to lead the round table with your team. We're going to have a great conversation. We're going to talk about the takeaways. We're going to talk about the experience that they had at Field Service USA, some of the highlights, some of the lowlights, and then have a good conversation. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. And let's get it rolling with some introductions.
Awesome. Yeah. So yes, this is the Field Service Excellence Show, aka the Flock Safety Takeover. That's what we're about to do here. And so we'll go around the table and introduce, starting closest to the ring light, with Alyssa. Who are you? What do you do at Flock Safety?
Well, my name is Alyssa Holmes, and I'm the Director of Service Operations. So the scope of our work is to receive, prepare, audit, and schedule all of the work or the field activities that Flock performs with first-party and third-party technicians. And I also have responsibility for our learning and development team.
Woo! Welcome to the FXL show.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, California man himself, Brady.
All the way from LA, for the Palm Springs Live. First conference. I'm Brady. I'm a product operations manager with the team, and I work closely with Roy, Ron, and Alyssa, looking at our kind of maintenance, our installs, and what's going on in the field, trying to identify patterns in the data that we can take back to our product and engineering folks to be more efficient at all stages of product being manufactured, all the way to we're maintaining the field. So I'm the numbers guy, bring the data, and happy to be here.
Yeah, I call Brady our bridge between silos.
Yeah.
So he does not work for us.
Yeah.
But don't come for Brady unless you want a field ops problem.
Honorary
He has been adopted by field ops. And then to my left here, we got the man with the coolest last name in field service, Ron Blaze. What do you do, Mr. Blaze?
Man, I have all the fun in the company. I'm National Director for Field Operations, so I have the pleasure of working with the techs across the country, hiring, getting all the jobs completed that Brady kind of does his formulas on, and Alyssa's team schedules for me, so it all fits up pretty well.
Make it happen.
Yeah, make it happen. And I'm the VP of Field Operations, so these are my two direct reports, team of 150 people. Our company mission is to eliminate crime. So it's important for us to try to get the work done as quickly, as effectively as possible, so that we're getting more devices and things out there, so that we can help the company execute its mission. Because you can sell stuff all day, but if it doesn't go live or if it doesn't stay being maintained, and we can't execute our mission. So that's what we do. We help the company get the mission to the ground. And so this is the first field service conference for everybody on my team. A lot of them have been to different conferences before, different fields. So I thought it was important for us to take an opportunity, go to a field service conference, and kind of get mused a little bit, right? Years. I mean, I've been coming to these conferences for almost 10 years, over 10 years now. But when you come, even if it's one thing, two things, three things, you always come across something that gives you a little bit of inspiration. So it's either something you were already working on, and it gives you that confirmation that I wasn't crazy, I was looking in the right direction, or it's something new that you weren't looking at all, and it was maybe a blind spot. Or you were looking at it already, and now you got a new perspective. So I think, we're here now, and, around us, everybody's starting to break stuff down as the expo closes up. But even being able to go around here and look at what some of the service offerings, the products, and the solutions are in the field, and then some of the sessions as well. So I guess I'll go product and then session.
Let's do that.
So from a product solution application perspective, I'm gonna hit Brady. So from what solution or product have you seen here that kind of got your wheels turning? Some of the thoughts around what you're doing in work order prioritization, maintenance prioritization, the way that you're looking at our data. So there's a lot of chat GPT conversations around here this week. A lot of data AI questions. So what was a product here, or one of the solution companies that kind of got your attention?
Yeah, well, I think it was first off, it stood out that I think the work I've been doing around work order prioritization and better finding out what's the best work to be doing at the right time, we're on the right track, which I think was a good feeling. We were kind of like highlighting this idea and like kind of giving that guidance downstream. But there's a few different companies that offer that kind of next level where it not only is prioritizing the work, but like then thinking about the schedule, thinking about the route optimization. Even real time, like if a tech, runs into traffic and starts to take too long, like it actually can update real time. And a lot of it we found out that we could actually do within like Salesforce that we're using today, but then there are plugins that could also work with it as well. So for me, being the first time and being fairly new to having like field service as a part of a company that I'm with, it was really helpful to get a benchmark, one, to say like, am I thinking about it the right way? But also, what are we not doing today that we could start to strive towards? Should we be building it? Should we be partnering it? I think that was super insightful for me. So I've been able to take away a lot of good connections, conversations, and hopefully be able to see some demos of what actually could be.
Yeah, awesome, cool. Alyssa, what was something on top of the list for you for solution perspective?
Well, there's two things. The first one is what Brady just mentioned is really important to me as far as scheduling. First party and third party, and one of the things that I've noticed coming from much larger companies with very sophisticated routing systems is that some of the tools that I want to use and leverage to optimize how we schedule, I don't seem to have access to, or they don't exist. So coming here, I went on a mission to meet with everybody who offers a routing solution to find out who has what offering, how does it work, can it integrate with Salesforce so I don't have to lose the CRM of the company, because I don't think anybody would be super thrilled with me if I said everything has to go. But in the journey through this, I have discovered that the solution I have right now is most likely more than adequate. So that was pretty nice. The second thing,
It's always good to know you don't have to change software.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Or ask for the money to change the software.
Right.
Yeah, that usually.
So I think there's a lot of efficiency we're about to unlock in the coming weeks and months as we leverage more of that capability. But the other thing that really stood out to me is we may have found potential solutions to how we seek and manage third-party execution of work orders. In the past, we used companies like Field Nation, but it couldn't scale with us. The amount of labor that went into sending work over to a third party, we just couldn't send the volume to keep it up.
How were you sending the volume? Like manually?
Yeah, like one by one work orders going over.
Is that still how it's status quo? Is that the current state?
No.
Okay.
So what we ended up doing is partnering with very large companies like Diebold, NSA, to send them amounts of work at set prices. But to get those set prices, we have to send minimum quantities, which means that even if I don't need to leverage them, I'm still having to pay for them. Having to send work over there that a first-party tech could do. So one of the solutions that we ran into here is a similar gig economy type of Field Nation supplier that handles a lot of the relationship between them, pays them, and
It's like your own Uber app.
Kind of like your own Field Nation.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Who's that company?
Work market.
Work market.
Yeah.
Through ADP.
Work
With
market.
ADP. Yep.
Wow.
Got to attend a nice
That's
session with
killer.
them yesterday about it. So as we develop that
Wow.
relationship, we may find ourselves with an opportunity to get more,
Wow.
to get faster service at a better cost.
That's a huge takeaway.
To our customers and markets where we can't get to quite as fast.
Right.
And they also come with fully vetted folks, so we can have them background checked.
What?
Yeah.
They also
Yeah.
have technicians on the platform?
Yes.
Yeah.
Your own
It's like
third-party
an Uber driver.
technicians?
They,
Or the system comes with the technician, like they're giving you the software and they're giving you technicians?
we would be getting access to their network of like Uber
It's
drivers.
crazy.
As long
How
as they
come
have
I've
a
never
ladder
heard of them?
and a few
Yeah, like when you
tools.
put the resources that are required in there, it'll fall into that.
That
fall into
changes the
that bucket.
game.
And they do the pay as well. So they actually
Wow.
pay. They do the
How are
back
the
office
rates?
of paying the invoice.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Oh, so you have
Well,
to put,
look, Yeah, so we
Oh,
discussed
okay.
them. But one thing, Liz, I don't know if you talked about it when I chatted with them. The interesting thing is they don't charge by license. They don't charge based on like how many people need to access the platform. They actually charge based on how much you bill. So they charge based on how much revenue you're sending through the system. and then you pay a percentage of that versus paying for a bunch of licenses like we currently do to have contractor licenses within FSL for hundreds of people that may not even utilize.
If you guys put it in practice, I would love like a review or something. I'm really keen about.
You'll be our first call.
All right, beautiful. Because look, this is an industry-wide problem.
Yeah.
Especially for manufacturers. How do you manage your third-party service network? So huge problem we're tackling. It's really fascinating to extrapolate from a security, camera company all the way, like how these problems across verticals, right? It crosses verticals, it crosses markets, it crosses segments. So it's quite fascinating to hear you, Alyssa. That was a key takeaway. Thank you.
Cool. All right. So that was Alyssa's takeaway. Alyssa explains it all. Ron, what did you see? Or did you see something? We're real field service. I saw you trying on some wearables over there.
Yeah.
Like you're about to go.
I was making my rounds. making my rounds. No, a lot of things I liked about the conference was it's kind of a good benchmarking for me.
Benchmarking of what?
Just experience with
Ideas?
leading technicians and recruitment, retention, the culture, engagement. A lot of sessions about data and all types of metrics and reports. I'm a data guy. I love data, love reports. I live in that space, but where I really get a lot of my interest and energy from is just the engagement with the team, building a good culture. Roy, coming in the flock, helped do a lot of stuff with the culture for the field techs. Wasn't bad. We're just a lot better now, So really
good to great.
Yeah, good to great. And we still got room to go. I mean, it's a real fun space to work in. But some of the sessions I really liked a lot were the ones that were really talking about people engagement, development. I won't say there's few in between, but there was a few sessions I was able to sit on that.
So
really
what
enjoyed.
were some of the takeaways from the people development and retention? Anything that stood out? Any practices or this
Yeah, nothing
we should
overly
be doing
nothing really eye-opening, just stuff like I really should be doing that, doing more
like
building more a stronger career path for technicians when they come in, right? That's really important.
So I hope I don't get remember Crohn's. I think they had 1 week HR onboarding for their technician. They went from 1 week HR onboarding for their technician to a 90-day technical and soft skills training. And they were able to cut down ramp up time from new to experienced from 14 plus months to 8 months, saving $50,000 per technician on training. Crazy. So intensive training and hands-on training can cut down ramp up time in a very big way.
Yeah. And I think, to pivot that, I know, Alyssa, you had some takeaways as well when you talked about, what puts people on blast. You always get the savage truth when Roy's around. But Alyssa was talking about something that we kind of noticed, especially when we talk about people at a lot of these conferences. We get real heavy on solutions and data, applications and processes. But most of the stuff that we hear, there was a keynote session about leadership where it was like, what can we do as leaders and what do we need to do for ourselves? But when we talk about technicians, it's normally like we need to give them a solution, almost as the technician is the problem. And so Alyssa said something, and she coined the phrase pessimistic compassion.
She's going to write a book about it.
Yeah, so that'll be available at a table at next year's conference.
Tell us a little bit about your theory here.
Yeah.
That'd be a good book
pessimistic
signing.
compassion is that one of the things that I clearly see displayed proud here is that a love of field service and a love of our people. But when it comes to the problem of tech non-compliance in the field, it's viewed from the lens of they're the problem. And when you think of feedback in the sense that you're receiving feedback, the emotional response that people have, the first assumption is oh no, the problem's over there, it's somebody else. The second assumption would be no, the problem's with me, I'm not good at this. The third assumption, which is likely the one, is that there's a situation here and all of and we are each playing a part of it.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to tech non-compliance, I think that a lot of leaders are probably making a first assumption to just instantly blame the other person and not recognize that there's something going on here. Maybe how we're speaking to the field, or maybe there's a difference between what was said, what was heard, and what was intended, right? And when you think about it from like an adult learning perspective or a generational perspective, right, with like millennials, Gen Z, and on Gen X, is that they'll probably buy in or get motivated differently. And so I wonder, like, do people know if their people are operating to be compliant or operating to contribute? Right.
You know what's interesting about that? Judge Sullivan just rattled off some stats, and one of the stats he rattled off was not the number one driver of employee engagement was caring. Just doing one-on-one, personalized, like coaching set, 15-minute check-in, told the field how like much they care about, and that just like the impact on retention and like when you say compliance and okay, when you care to explain to me why do you need me to fill up 14 step 4 when I'm under like while I'm on a pole and like if you care enough to tell me why you're asking me to do certain things and why you're asking me to adopt certain technology and you care to take the time to explain it in videos and one-on-ones and announcements, you give me the enablement, like I'll give you back.
Yeah, when I was in the Big Wins in the Trenches session yesterday or the day before, one of these days, and a lot of audience participation talking about what they see, what were the wins, and one of the things that people were saying was, we can't get people to be compliant, we can't get this, we can't get that, and the techs these days, the younger techs, they don't want to work, they don't want this, and I ended up raising my hand and saying, well, all these techs do share common themes. Don't look at them as like all these separate entities. There are still commonalities that tie us together. We're creative, we're curious, right? Maybe we like the variety in our work. But the one thing that we all want to be heard, and so that's that hearing point, right?
I love it.
If you can make them feel heard because you genuinely hear them.
Yeah. I love it.
So
that's a great segue to the favorite session part of this episode. So I'll pick it up from Alyssa. My favorite session of all was with Tim Spencer. Tim Spencer, the session was called The Ultimate Balancing Act. And managing business growth with capacity limitations in a tight labor market and uncertain economy and supply chain. Basically, how do you grow the business while the labor pool is shrinking, right? And his take on it is, so how do you attack the capacity problem? And he rattled off, a lot of tactical things and more strategic things. But one of the things that, and he was very practical. It's not he didn't have the fanciest technology or the most advanced AI implemented. It was simple things that almost anyone could do. Now, with some investment, obviously, but some of the things that he mentioned is remote resolution. Just simply using remote assistance, it just massively increased their technician first-time fixed rate and productivity and customer experience. So they're now handling like 1,000 calls per month, and they have 100% remote resolution. Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. The other one, he said that they prioritize revenue-generating techs for support. So that was a key takeaway. Even technical support there's limitations there. You can't support all the technicians in the field at all time because sometimes it takes you 2, 3, 4 hours with the technician to try to figure out what the hell is going on with this machine.
Yeah.
So they typically prioritize revenue-generating. So they move them up in the queue and move non-revenue generating technical support calls from technicians down the queue. they deflected calls like asking for part numbers by making manuals available online and in a knowledge base. Breakthrough. It's like knowledge bases existed since the internet.
Yeah.
But we just figured out as an industry that we can take these manuals, pen and paper manuals, scan them or transcribe them or whatever, and put them. Well, there are tools where you can just take a shot of it and then upload it. And all manufacturers anyway produce a digital version of their manuals, but now you can centralize that all, categorize it by manufacturer, and make it easy for the technician to pull up the schema or the manual or the parts. So another thing that he did that was really effective in attacking the capacity problem was using live video to deliver training. So he did on-site, he did live training to scale it, especially the soft training. So he did a lot of that online. And one of the things that blew out my mind is he automated dispatch up to 90%. Only 10% of the service calls, the system spits them out for manual dispatch. You might want to connect Alyssa with Tim Spencer on some of the, and he built it on top of Salesforce.
Yeah.
You were at that session?
I was at that session, and I actually asked the question in the audience, like, where did you find was that 10%? And would you do anything differently to have an initial build out to address it?
Yeah, and there's a gazillion other things that he mentioned, but I'll wrap up by this one key takeaway that I think everyone listening to this broadcast now can put it in place, is he runs 2-week sprints for continuous improvement to keep innovating every 2 weeks. So it's like agile. He adopted like agile methodology and sprint and right from
and he said he just
the
kept
SaaS world and implemented in field service to like drive that innovation, Kaizen bursts, right? So a lot of your breakthroughs typically come from outside of your industry. Coming to an event like this and seeing what's going on in adjacent markets, adjacent industries, that's where breakthroughs happen. So over to you, Roy. What was your number one favorite session?
I'm hard to impress after 10 years, but no, I'd actually have to say it was like, I think it wasn't the opening session, but one of the early keynotes, day one, that was on leadership. And people like, I consider myself a leadership coach, leadership expert to a certain degree, but like that's not something you typically talk about at these events. And the fact that they opened with it was great. It was unfortunate that it kind of diverted from there. Like there was an opening session, and then it wasn't like there was a track on people leadership, development, recruitment, all of that other stuff. It kind of went heavy into data and some other applications. But I thought that session was really good. And it was focused on knowing who the audience is here, right? It was really focused on like, as leaders, what do we need to reflect on? Like you said, Josh made the comment about care. I'm always talk about people ask me what my leadership style is, and my leadership style is love. And so the more direct way of talking about caring, but like I actually love my employees, but love sometimes has conviction. It has correction. It has, discipline. Right. It's not just, I care about you. And it was like, I care about you. You do this bad. Yeah. You need to do it better, or you need to stop. Right. So it's the same thing.
Or you need to go, because love is wishing someone, hey, like, it doesn't sound like this is the best place for you to unlock your potential. You got to go somewhere else.
Yeah. And it's opportunities.
You love them so much, you let them go.
Yeah. All right. So exactly. Sometimes you got to love them and let them go. But I thought that was a good session to kind of start. And they were here, and they had a book that they offered, which I'm sure field service paid for, so everybody could read a book on leadership. That's great. Which was cool. So I just figured that by next year it'll be my book on the table, and then we'll have a whole track instead of just one session.
Hey, we got a signed copy.
You did get a signed copy. Had to track them down. What about you? You kind of mentioned yours a little bit, Ron, but anyone specific that helped?
Well, the one that was addressing Gen Z and millennials.
With Rogers.
Yeah, with Rogers. Yeah. I was like, man, wish I sat with you last night for dinner. This was great, that was really enjoyed that one. Again, it really focused on understanding engagement, building a career path.
Building resumes, big. Rogers big on that.
Yeah, that was really cool.
So that's your value. What's your value proposition to your talent? You can't just have a value proposition to your customers. You got to have a value proposition to your people.
Yeah.
And,
And the experience too.
Yeah, and we find that at Flock, right? Like we talk about like field service engineers. They're out, like our technicians walk outside in the elements or whatever. And I saw in the description, right? It's like millennials and Gen Zs, they really want to have a job that has a purpose.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. So like they care. And then like in our mission statement as a company is to eliminate crime.
Boom.
Right. So like people who are out
boom.
there in the streets, in neighborhoods and communities, they connect to it. And it gives them something to drive. So like when we bring young people in, like it's really easy to get them motivated, to get them connected.
Start with the why.
And then even through the difficulties, like we have some of the highest employee engagement in our company, and we have the most difficult, the most uncomfortable, the outdoor job, and most of those people are paid the least. So we have like the least paid people with the most responsibility in the worst conditions, and they have the highest employee engagement in the company. So it's like, and that lets you know, because from a mission perspective, we talk about, like the company talks about the mission, but our technicians are actually in it.
Yeah.
So like they're in the communities where crime is happening. Yeah. They're talking to law enforcement as they're putting cameras up. So they're physically out there in it. And I think it just keeps them connected. So and the one thing that we do need is that it's like, and like Ron just said it, what's that career path? So the one thing that we keep getting from engagement surveys is what's the next step? What's the path? How can I grow to stay within Flock? Like I love it. I want to be here, but what does that path look like? And that's why we're collectively working on individual and leadership development plans where we want people to tell us like, well, what do you want to do? This is a startup. Yeah. I don't know what you might want to be a salesperson. You might want to be a data scientist. It's like you can go do anything. So what does it look like? And we want to make sure we have those conversations and then start developing paths for people to get there, whether it's certifications, go do your Scrum, go do your Agile, get some, like we have training people who are getting Salesforce administration, right? We have vendor services managers that are doing Agile. Like, so it's like whatever you want to do, and then let's find a way for us to work through it. So
we started with some of that career path too. We promoted within pretty aggressively. Every role.
Awesome.
Supervisors, Roy first started saying, hey, you think we have folks in California to supervise the materials? I said, absolutely.
Awesome.
I don't know them well yet because I just got the territory, but I was like, absolutely. And, we promoted, we have 20 supervisors out there.
Cool.
Yeah, like our vendor services team came from inside. Our vendor installation manager came from inside. My directors came from inside. So like building that talent. But now so we built a really good like layered talent within field ops. So now we're trying to figure out what else do people want to do, and how can we get you into project management? How can we get you into permitting? How can we get you into engineering?
Mobilization.
Yeah.
So it's like the shortened time frame too. Like a millennial myself, like you don't stay in jobs 20 years anymore.
No,
like
not anymore.
Yeah, every job I've had maybe 2-3 years, and that feels long. Like I hit 3 years, and I'm like,
because you're looking for growth, you're looking for experience. So
it's like I'm growing moss. I'm growing moss over here.
Service companies have to adapt to that. Right.
Yeah.
So let's wrap up with you, Brady. What was your favorite session?
Yeah. So I mean, first of all, it was just very eye-opening, as I said earlier, like just to see everything that's out there, like what technology has been introduced and what just the kind of the best practices, the standards of operating are. I actually. thing that I've really tried to take to heart, being new to the industry, being new to field service, and really leaning on my teammates here, is understanding what they're experiencing and not assuming and making assumptions.
Yeah.
Like looking at the data objectively and presenting it in a format where we can all look at it together and say, like, we all see that this is happening. What does that actually mean, and how do we implement? Versus me coming and saying, "Hey, I'm seeing, reschedules because of this reason," and telling them, and they'll be like, "Brady, this happens all the time." Like we've gone down this road, so it's been more of like a collaboration. I think that's really key for someone who doesn't have that experience or hasn't worked in field service to not come to lean on the experts.
I love it. Any last takeaways, Ron?
No, that's why we adopted him in the field service, of course,
Yeah.
just from that perspective.
Because data out of context leads you in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's the thing. Like
Especially
a lot of times
if it's
you can.
inaccurate.
Yeah.
100%.
And again, it's like, because sometimes the context helps you with the analysis.
Yeah.
So like you can pull the data and like you can go left or right with the analysis. Like I might tell you the number you have is right, but then go like, this is good. Let's go left.
Yeah.
Like, let me tell you where this is happening and then show you where that data leads.
Data
but
has
people
to change behavior.
Yeah, but
to be
people get
meaningful.
into the process and then they start following a thread that's just based on the numbers, and then it leads you almost to an
You got to marry
impossible conclusion.
qualitative and quantitative to get to the
It's very
insight.
siloed.
Yeah.
You got to add ChatGPT.
Talk about ChatGPT. To wrap this up, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to come back to Field Service
would
USA?
definitely come back.
If you were, even if you were to pay for the ticket.
Different.
He doesn't even know how much the ticket is.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe when I see the price of it.
All right. So
but very
thumbs
good.
up,
Yeah,
thumbs down.
up, definitely would come back.
Alyssa,
I'm 2 thumbs up. This is a great experience.
Love it.
Ron,
I'm in. I'm back.
I love it. Roy,
They ask you to speak, I come.
boom, baby.
So-
Let's go. Well, there you have it, folks. The Flock Safety team. I want to say thank you to Brady, Alyssa, Ron, and to my awesome co-host, Roy, who saves the day. I can rely on him to save the day. So hope you gained a lot of insights from this session, folks. And as you can see, getting into events, meeting folks, meeting other service leaders across the organization, right? Whether it's product analytics, or it's scheduling and dispatch, or it's field service operation, or it's at the executive and C-suite level. You can meet all kind of people across the entire organization and talk about all these breakthrough ideas that helps you dream bigger. So because all it takes is a dream. So I'm excited to keep this conversation going. I want to talk more about bringing up field service technicians for all that shit on their plate and just help them focus on doing the work. So I want to follow up on that, and I want to follow up on your project to automate dispatch, and Ron, with you on training and implementing those career progression path, and with you, Roy, gotta go more lives, brother. Yeah, we gotta go more lives. So with that said, we'll probably have 1 or 2 more broadcasts, and we'll be wrapping up. They're already dismantling everything
Tearing
around
things down
us.
around
So
you.
the whole building is coming down on our heads, and we're doing a podcast. So they're like, "Get the hell out of here already!" Seriously, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next broadcast. Thank you, team.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.